Good afternoon to the organizers and to the participants. Today's topic for discussion is measures of dispersion. Um, yesterday we covered measures of central tendency. Both these two measures are very important. Measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. But for some reason or other, measures of central tendency have become popular. People are making use of it, sometimes misuse it. Whereas measures of dispersion is not so popular among the common persons, even among the users of statistics data and researchers. It's very uncommon, but very important tool. Very important, as important as measures of central tendency, but somehow measures of dispersions are not so popular among general public, among the researchers, policymakers. So it happens. Sometimes for some reason one tool becomes very popular, another tool, though equally important, may not become popular for various reasons. Like parents, if they have two children, they keep on telling whenever a guest comes, they keep on telling about the one child, not so much about the other's child. It may not be intentional, but it happens. It happens. So here also what I have observed is measures of central tendencies have become very popular, whereas measures of dispersions are equally important but have not become popular in usage. Uh, you can see any research report or any class, people talk about averages. How many people will talk about measures of dispersion? Very few. But they are also equally important. Towards the end of the session, we also realize that measures of dispersions are as important as measures of central tendency. Yeah. What are we doing in measures of central tendency? There is a series of data. We are looking for a representative number, a number which tries to summarize the whole series of the data, series of the numbers. Can we get any summary measure of this whole series of data? That's what we are looking. Which number represents the set of data? Which number represents a set of data? So there are different ways people say, shall I use mean? Shall I use median? Shall I use mode? There are people keep on stressing how to calculate and other things. They think. But hardly do we question that how far the mean is really representing the set of data. Is the mean a real representative? Is it really representing the whole series or not? We calculate. If the data is there, we can calculate. That is not a problem. But the question is, how representative is this summary measure? Is it a true representative of the whole data or not? Is a question. So, if it is not true representative, we should not use that measure of standard. It is failing in its duty. It is not representing the series. So, we want to know whether the average or measure of central tendency, which we are calling, is it really representing the set of data which it is supposed to represent? Is it a true representative? So now one may question how to know whether it is a true representative or not. Is whether average, is it a true representative of the series or not, if you want. Now we are taking a 3 series in this PPT. You can have a look. There are 3 series of data: series A, series B, series C. In series A, all the 5 observations are equal, that is, they are equal to 20. All the 5 items are equal to 20. In series B, the items range from 10 to next 15, 20, 25, 30, like that. In series C, the first four items are 0, the last item is 100. Now, if you calculate arithmetic mean, how to calculate arithmetic mean? We do the total of the items and in all the three series. Now, in this example, the three series A, B, C, the total is 100 and the arithmetic mean is also 20, 20, 20. So, in series A, the arithmetic mean is truly representing the set of data. In series B, arithmetic mean, that is 20, is broadly representing the data because some items are below the arithmetic mean, some items are above the arithmetic mean, but they are very close to the arithmetic mean. They are very close to arithmetic mean. In series B, some items are above the mean, some items are below the mean, but they are very close to the mean. So arithmetic mean is broadly representing the set of data in series B. Now come to the series C. In series C, arithmetic mean is 20. Many items are below the very much below the arithmetic mean, and there is only one item which is very much above the arithmetic mean. So this 20 is not a true representative of the set of data given in series C. So 20 is not a truly representing the data given in series C. It is not a true representative. In series A, 20 is a true representative of set of data. In series B, it is broadly representing the data, whereas in series C, arithmetic mean that in series A, we can fairly depend, yes, 20 is a good representation. Series B, 20 is a broadly representing, fairly all right, we don't mind. But in series C, 20 is not at all representing the data, set of data. So in such a case, how can we call this arithmetic mean as a true representative? So that is why we have said series can have same average but different spread. The spread is very much. In series C, the spread is very much. Therefore, the arithmetic mean fails to represent the series. So the reliability of average depends upon the spread of the items in the series. If the spread is not much, if there is no spread at all, like in series A, then arithmetic mean is a true representative. In series B, there is some spread but not much. So arithmetic mean is a broad representative. In series C, the spread is very much. Many are 0 and one item is 100. So spread in the series C is very much. So in such case, arithmetic mean is not at all representing the figures given in series C. So the reliability of average depends upon the spread of items in the series. Smaller the spread, better is the reliability of the average. So whenever we are making use of the average, question is, yes, we agree we are computing the average, but how far it is reliable, how far we can depend. Calculate what is called measures of dispersion. So averages are everybody is aware of averages, but very few even among them, very few use it. Even among them, few use it. Now, measures of dispersions are basically used to know how much dispersion is there in a series. If the dispersion is more in a series, then we should not, arithmetic mean will not be reliable. If the dispersion is less in the series, then we can depend upon arithmetic mean. So whether a measure mean is a reliable or not basically depends upon the spread or the extent of dispersion. How to measure the extent of dispersion? Uh, now, what are the measures of dispersion? How to measure the dispersion? How to spread? How to measure the spread in a series? There are from simple, very simple measure to very complicated measures are there, starting from a range, which is very, very simple, to standard deviation, which is more complicated. Let us know one by one. Let us know the different measures of dispersion. Range is a very simple measure. Range, many people also use. What is the range? Range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value in a series. So you take the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. And then, so what is the spread of the height of a persons in a country? You say tallest person. What is the tallest person? 6 feet or something. And what is the shortest person? Maybe 4 feet or 3 feet. You take that shortest person, and the difference will call it as a range. Range is basically range is a very simple measure. Range is the difference between the highest value in the series and the lowest value in the series. Take the difference between the two, you get the range. That is a very simple measure. Then we have next slightly more this thing, which is called interquartile range. We have what is called interquartile range. Interquartile range means the whole series is divided into two parts, two equal parts. So now, as you see, the median divides the whole series into two parts. Median is the value of the middle item. Median is the value of the middle items. So those which are below the median are first part, we can call it as first part. Those which are above the median, we call it as second part. So the whole series, when we arrange in ascending order, the median will divide the series into two parts, two equal parts. First half, and where the items are below the median, and second half where the value of the items are above the median. Now we take the midpoint of the first half. We take the midpoint of the first half, and it is called first quartile. The midpoint of the first half of the series is called first quartile. The midpoint of the second half, is called third quartile. Then you may ask, what is the second quartile? Median is another name for median is second quartile. Median is automatically becomes second quartile. The first quartile is the midpoint of the first half of the series, and third quartile is the midpoint of the second half. So interquartile range means the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. Suppose we call Q3 as the third quartile, Q1 as the first quartile, then Q3 minus Q1 will be called interquartile range. Q2 is there, Q2 median happens to be Q2, so we are not okay. So median divides the series into two parts. The first midpoint of the first half is called first quartile, and midpoint of the second half is called third quartile, and the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile is called interquartile range. So now it is also very simple, not very difficult to understand. So when between range and interquartile range is relatively better, more sophisticated, and a better measure compared to range. Next we have mean deviation. Mean deviation means we have to first we take the difference of each item from the mean and add all these deviations and take the average of it. Each item from the mean and then add all these deviation and take the average of it. Therefore, it is called mean deviation. It is called mean deviation. Then we have what is called a slightly more complicated measure, which is called a deviation, and then divide by the number of items. So instead of simply adding the deviation, we are squaring the deviations, summing them up, and taking the average. And what is the standard deviation? Standard deviation is a square root of variance is called standard deviation. Square root of variance is called standard deviation. Finally, we have coefficient of variation, which is the ratio of standard deviation to the mean, which is the ratio of standard deviation to mean. So as I told, we have many measures of dispersion, starting from a very simple, that is range, to a more complicated measure called standard deviation. Depending upon our requirement, we select one of these measures. Depending upon the requirement, we select one of these measures. So we will try to see. So if say, what is the dispersion in the age of a person? Sir, people can live up to 100 years. Some people, some baby, moment it borns, it will die. That is from 100 to 0 means it's very wide. So when there is a wide difference between the longevity of a person from lifespan of a person, that is from 100 years to 0 hours, then it is no meaning. We can't make use of such a thing. So range is very useful when the difference between the highest value and the lowest value in the series is small. But the problem is we can't use when the difference is more, and algebraical manipulation is also not possible. When we want a more sophisticated measure, we can use standard deviation. I am giving the example how to find a range, mean deviation, and standard. So in all, there are 9 observations. 2 observations are 99, 5 observations are 100, and 2 observations are equal to 101. Now the range is, as I told, it is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. That is 101 minus 99, that is 2. It is not a difficult. Highest value is 101, lowest value is 99. So the range is 99 or 2. It's a small deviation, not much. Now we are calculating mean deviation. Here we are calculating mean deviation. So arithmetic mean is 100 here because there are 9 observations and total is 900. So the mean will become, arithmetic mean is 100. From mean we are taking the difference. So 100 minus 99 is 1. 100 minus, again second observation, 100 minus 99 is 1. So third observation is 100, arithmetic mean is also 100. So 0, there is no deviation. Fourth item, there is no deviation. Fifth also no deviation. Sixth also no deviation. Deviation is 0. There is no difference between the arithmetic mean and the value of the items. And 8th and 9th, the difference is, again 8th, the difference is 101 minus 100, 1. And again 9 is also 9th observation, 101 minus 1. Here you should notice that we are not taking algebraical sign into account. Only difference, only the difference. That is, whether it is plus 1 or minus 1, we are taking the difference and adding all the differences. Total of the differences is 4. So mean deviation will be 4 divided by 9. 4 divided by 9, that is 0.44. So here one thing to be noted is we are taking only the difference. No positive sign, no negative sign. We are not attaching sign, only taking the difference and adding the difference of each item from mean. How much each item is differing from the mean. After computing all these differences, we add all these differences divided by the number of items. This is called mean deviation. So you could have taken difference from median also. You could have computed difference from the mode also. It is your choice. But generally, we take mean deviation from the mean. Deviations from mean. One can take the deviation from the median also. Some other interested person can also take from mode. But you have to be explicit. Yes, I have taken deviation from the mean. I have taken deviation from median. I have taken deviation from mode. So you explicitly mention, and after taking the deviation, total all the deviations, ignoring algebraical sign, and divide the sum by the number of items. This is the mean deviation. Conceptually, it is easy, and also the advantage is we are making use of all the observation. Whereas in range and interquartile range, they were not making use of all the observation. Only two observations they were making, either highest value and lowest value, or Q3 and Q2, Q3 and Q1. Here in mean deviation, we are making use of all the observation. Now we go to the more sophisticated method that is called standard deviation. How to calculate the standard deviation? Here, again we take the deviation, but here we are taking the algebraical sign also into account. If it is item minus mean. So 99 minus 100 will become minus 1. Again, second observation, 99 minus 100 will be minus 1. Next 4, there is no deviation. It is next 5, no deviation. Eighth item, 101 minus 1, 100, it is 1. Again, ninth also 101 minus 1, 100 will be 1. So here we have taken the algebraical sign into account. If we add them up, it will become 0. If we add all these deviation with algebraical sign, the total will be 0. So we are not adding them as it is. We are squaring the deviations. So by squaring, all negative will become positive, and positive deviations will remain positive only. They won't change. So now minus 1 becomes plus 1. Again, second observation, minus 1 will be plus 1. So the square the deviation, the sum of deviation is 4. Again, standard deviation is the square root of this sum of deviation, that is square root of 4 by 9. Not there, but anyway, it's square root of 4 by 9. That is square root of 2 by 3. That is square root of 0.66. Okay. If you don't take the square root, it is called variance. If you take the square root, it will become standard deviation. If you don't take the square root, it will become variance. So now we will take another example, so that was the first example was very simple. Second example, slightly more complicated, will make. Here data is given that first two observations are 911, third observation is 99, fourth, fifth, sixth observations are 100, seventh observation is 101, and eighth observation 199, ninth observation is also 199. Now, if it range, how to calculate range? Again, it's not a problem. Only highest value is 199, lowest value is 1. So the difference is 99 minus 1, that is 198. 99 minus 1 is 198. So how to calculate mean deviation? Again, we take the difference from the mean. So it will be first item is 1. So 1 minus 100 is 99, ignoring the algebraical sign. Second observation, 1 minus 100, it will become again 99. For third observation, 99 minus 100 is 1, ignoring the sign. For next three observations, we will have 100 minus 100. So there is no difference, it will be 0. For seventh observation, it will be 101 minus 100. So the difference is 1. For eighth observation, the difference will be 199 minus 100, that is 99. So is the case with ninth observation, that is 99. So if we take sum the deviation, it is 398. Total of the deviation is 398 by 9. So mean deviation is 44, 44 by that is 44.2. Mean deviation is 44. Now we compute the standard deviation. The standard deviation is, again, we have to take algebraical sign into account. In the previous example, already we have calculated deviation for first observation. The deviation now with algebraical sign will become 99. For second observation, again minus 99. Third observation deviation is minus 1. For next three observations, there is no deviation. For 7, there is the deviation is plus 1. 8th and 9th deviations are 99. So when next column we have seen, we have squared the deviations, and then we have to total them. For standard deviation, we have to take the square root of that sum of squared deviation, that is square root of 39,200. Now we'll go to another measure. Then the range will also be in years. Mean deviation also will be in years. We want to know what is the variation in income of people in India and people in America. In America, income is measured in dollars. In India, income is measured in rupees. How can we compare these two? Because that is in dollars, this is in rupees. We cannot compare. Similarly, one may ask whether the variation in height, is it more than variation in weight of the people? One may question whether variation in height of the people, is it more than the variation in height of the weight of the people? So we have to compare. The height is measured in feet and weight is measured in, say, kgs. How can we? So when we calculate standard deviation, for height it will be in feet, the standard deviation of weight will be in kgs. We cannot compare kgs, standard deviation measured in kgs, standard deviation measured in feet. So likewise, some problem, the one may ask a question that workers' income of the workers and their education, whether variation in education, will it be more than the variation in income or? So how to compare? Income is in rupees, education is the number of years. So when the unit of measurements of two series are in different units, when the two series are measured in different units, how to know whether spread is more in first series or spread is more in the second series? For that reason, we have what is called coefficient of variation. What is coefficient of variation? Coefficient of variation is a standard deviation, is the ratio of standard deviation to the mean. standard deviation divided by mean will give the coefficient of variation. So it is a free of unit. It is because a ratios can be compared. Two ratios can be compared. So to overcome this problem of comparing the series measured in two different units, we make use of coefficient of variation, which is a ratio of standard deviation to the mean. Of course, there is one big limited coefficient of variation is it cannot be computed when the mean is zero. If mean is zero, we can't divide something by zero. So coefficient of variation cannot be calculated when we have uh, mean is zero. When the calculated, then we have finalized. So you can see the the standard range in first series is 2, standard deviation is 0.66 because the variation is not much. In the second series, variation is because more, the range is also more, the range is 198 and standard deviation is uh, also more compared to set 1. So in set 2, both the range is more than the first series, and standard deviation is also relatively more compared to first. Okay. These are we have very careful whenever we are using coefficient of variation. Suppose some Celsius or Fahrenheit, and both. But what happens is the first series which is measured in Celsius, you get one figure. Second series where the temperature is measured in that Fahrenheit, you get a different standard deviation. But therefore, we have to be careful when comparing standard. This difference is it because of difference in or any difference in the two series? What I started with, we started our discussion with that there are tools which are equally important. For some reason or other, one tools become very popular and people make use of it. Another tool, though it's equally important, it doesn't become popular and people don't use much. So, but it's equally important. Now you compare between measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. Measures of central tendency have become very popular and very frequently used, whereas measures of dispersion, though important, it has not become as popular as measures of central. And many people, for some reason or other, don't make use of it. Because measures of central tendency try to give a summary measure of a series, a set of data. But how reliable is this is also equally important to know. Calculating a summary measure is one part, but knowing whether it is reliable or not is another question. Both are equally. We want a summary measure and a summary measure which is reliable. So to know whether it is reliable or not, we should have a measure of dispersion. Only when we know the measure of dispersion, we can say whether the mean is reliable or not. If the standard deviation is more, then we say the mean is not reliable. If the standard deviation is small, then we say mean is less reliable. So it's very important. Using a mean, calculating mean is one thing. No doubt we have to use mean. But is it not equally important to know whether the mean that we are using, is it reliable or not? It's also equally important. If without knowing whether it is reliable or not, how can we use that mean? So whenever using anything, you have to decide whether it's reliable or not. So that's very important. So my emphasis is that measures of dispersions are as important as measures of central tendency. Whenever there is a measures of central tendency, along with that, we should have present a measure of dispersion. Suppose you say you are taking what is the lifespan of sun in a people they stay live 30, 45 to 50, 70 years. But at the same time, that's a range. Average, they may say 60 years. But 60 years is not whether everybody will be 60 years will survive, or some will survive more than 60 years, some will survive for less than 60 years. So what is the range? So we should, along with the average, we should give the range or some other measure of dispersion. Then only can understand whether the mean is reliable or not. So always it's a good practice. Along with mean, it's better to give one measure of dispersion. Either you give range or standard deviation or a measure which is which you are interested in. Now onwards, you make it a practice along with the mean. Give one measure of dispersion. It can be range, it can be standard deviation, or a measure of dispersion along with measure of central tendency is always good. Always good. Yeah. So now